The handheld gaming PC world is absolutely blowing up, with the latest addition being the Anbernic Win600, but can it compete with the likes of the Steam Deck and the recently announced AYN Loki? Now, not a lot is known about the Anbernic Win600 yet. We don't know the specs and we don't know the release date either. But what we do know is that it will support Windows and SteamOS, as well as the fact that it is in its optimization stages of development. Anbernic have put out a series of videos on Instagram and YouTube showing the Win600 being optimized for games like God of War 2 on the PS2. And I have to admit, it's starting to look pretty good. Anbernic have been stretching themselves pretty thin over the past 12 months, with the likes of the RG552, the RG503, and we even just heard of the recent announcement of the RG353. However, a lot of people seem to be thinking that Anbernic are putting a lot of the focus on the Win600. And if they are, this means that this could turn out to be a very interesting and powerful gaming handheld PC. But there are definitely some concerns. Anbernic, for the past few years, had been one of the best players in the retro gaming handheld world. However, recently there's been a lot of strong competition from the likes of Retroid and AYN. And one of the negatives of the Anbernic consoles is that their processing power seems to fall behind a little bit compared to the competition, which does make me worry that the Win600 might not be able to compete in raw power against the Steam Deck and especially the AYN Loki Max. Now, you would think that having this lesser processing power would mean that Anbernic would be able to make their pricing a lot more competitive, but we've not really seen that happening, which also makes me concerned that the Win600 could end up being quite pricey. Furthermore, with so many different handhelds being released from Anbernic in the past 12 months, they could be spreading themselves a little bit too thin, especially when it comes to the technology side of things. If you are going to be trying to make a gaming handheld PC that competes with the likes of the Steam Deck, the AYN Loki, as well as the AYN Neos, then you're up against some serious competition and you need to be putting all your attention and focus in making it the best it can be. However, Anbernic are in the beneficial position of having been in the handheld market for a while, and they've also been able to watch the Steam Deck and see the mistakes that it makes, meaning that they can learn from them and make sure they don't make the same mistakes too. On top of that, the previous releases of the past 12 months could be very good learning opportunities for Anbernic to learn from the community about what they did and didn't like from the consoles like the 552, the 503, and following on the 353P as well. And what makes me hopeful of this is that we've known about the Win600 for a while, and we've seen these videos dropping for quite a few months now, which means that Anbernic don't seem to be rushing this one. They are taking their time, they are optimizing it, and hopefully trying to make it the best it can be. Another thing that makes me hopeful of that as well is the form factor. It's quite a drastic change from the standard Anbernic design, although I don't really think that's a relevant statement anymore, especially if you look at the past few consoles. Anbernic were very well known for their squared off, almost brick-like design. However, in 2022, they've gone for some completely different design options. The Win600 looks a lot more like a gaming handheld PC and matches with that aesthetic and form. But what I'm most excited to see is that they're finally going for the staggered buttons. Now, I'm not sure if the R2 and L2 are going to be analog, but I feel like they kind of have to be, especially if they want to play the AAA games that come in the world of gaming handheld PCs. Now, I've been a huge fan of Anbernic for ages, so I am keeping my ear close to the ground on the Win600 to find out everything I can as it's announced. But one thing I know for certain is that they're going to have to move fast if they want to compete with the likes of the AYN Loki and the new AYN Neo consoles. And hopefully they can compete strongly at a great price point too. Now, if you want to hear more about the AYN Loki, then check out this episode right here. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the reviews of these awesome consoles.